Today we're going over the specs and features of the Anker SOLIX X1 as compared to the Tesla Powerwall 3. As we go through the video, let me know what you guys think the top pro and con for the X1 and the Powerwall 3 are in your opinion. And I'm going to give you my top 3 things that I like about each system at the end of the video. Now the capacity on the X1 starts at only 5 kilowatt hours if we were just to take this initial battery pack underneath the inverter up here. But the standard one that you really are going to be looking at is a stack of 3, which is going to be 15 kilowatt hours. And that's definitely the most comparable to the Tesla Powerwall 3. Now you can expand it beyond this. You can have a total of 6 batteries per X1 unit, and you can have a total of 6 X1 units parallel together. The Powerwall 3 holds 13.5 kilowatt hours per unit, and you can stack a maximum of 4 of those for a total capacity of 54 kilowatt hours. You can see it's a pretty clean installation if you do decide to get multiple Powerwall 3s where you can just stack them up against the wall like this. We have a continuous output here with one X1 of 6 kilowatts, and that can be expanded to that 36 kilowatts with 6 of the X1 units. When it comes to the surge capability, this thing can go up to 12 kilowatts of output, so normally it's only 6, all the way up to 12 for a maximum of 10 seconds. Once you exceed that 10 seconds, it is going to disconnect to protect itself. That 12 kilowatts of surge is only available assuming you do have 3 battery packs attached to the X1. One Powerwall 3 is able to output 11.5 kilowatts of energy, and that is actually really substantial for a single unit like this. And of course you can get up to 4 of them, increasing that total output. Now the thing that I think is actually really impressive is the starting current. The ability to start large inductive loads that have really high inrush current is all the way up to 185 amps, which is just kind of mind-boggling, to be honest. That is a huge amount of inrush current, and there's virtually nothing in a home that you're going to ever try to start that's going to exceed that 185 amps. The X1 has pack level battery monitoring, and that allows the system to basically run a little bit more efficiently and makes it so that if you do have a failure in one of these batteries, it's actually not going to cause the entire system to stop. It's just going to isolate that one pack. The battery on the Powerwall 3 operates as a single unit, so there's not individual BMS monitoring for each individual pack. So if you do have a failure, it's going to affect the entire charging and discharging of the Powerwall 3. Now it'll still work for power throughput, it just won't be charging and discharging. Now I don't think that's actually that big of an issue, to be honest, because the reputation of Tesla and their quality standards are not such that it really would be a major concern. Now the Anker SOLIX X1 uses microinverters. With a microinverter, it really allows you to decide how to scale your system. You can start with only a few panels and then build it out from there. And it doesn't really matter where the panels are, what brand they are, what direction they're facing, because this is going to be able to just take into account each individual panel. Less than 60 volts, so it doesn't require the same rapid shutdown. The Tesla Powerwall 3 uses string inverters. It can accept a total of 6 strings, so you can have 6 sets of solar panels feeding into this with a total capacity of 20 kilowatts for one Powerwall 3. Each of the strings need to be installed in a similar way so that they are angled to the sun and get similar exposure. If they don't have similar exposure, it's going to be severely affected in its performance. And the same thing goes for shading. If you have shading on one of these panels, it's going to degrade the performance of the entire string, not just that one panel. With it being a string of panels in series instead of each individual panel being monitored directly, it's a little bit more difficult to find the panel that is performing poorly. So if you have one panel that fails, it's going to take a little bit more time to figure out which one is actually the problem. Here's that rapid shutdown switch, which is required on the Powerwall 3 since it has higher voltages coming in on those solar strings. Anker has developed a frequency shifting technology that helps a lot in low light performance, and that's something that can be really important, especially if you have a lot of cloudy days where it sometimes is a little bit too dark to start producing electricity, but this is able to actually overcome that in low light conditions when the sun first comes up, or on a cloudy day. This actually has to reach a minimum of about 60 volts DC before it's going to start charging from any one of the strings of panels that are attached to it. One thing about Anker that is definitely a factor to consider is that they are newer to this market. 2022 was when Anker SOLIX really came into being. So the software side of things definitely has some features that need to be developed. And I was talking to these guys about it. There's just some things that could be implemented to really improve it. Tesla has a longer track record for producing high quality products in the home energy storage space. So that fact really does contribute a little bit, since Anker has only been in the industry for about 2 years. One of the things that Tesla is really focused on is making the installation of this unit as simple as possible for installers, with as few separate components as possible. The Powerwall 3 is extremely heavy and difficult to move around, so you do need some specialized equipment to get it properly mounted. The X1, on the other hand, since it is modular, allows 2 technicians to be able to easily stack the different batteries together along with the inverter. So that's something you can keep in mind on the installation side of things. This thing is NEMA 4 rated. It can be exposed to direct salt spray, so if you live by the ocean, installing this outside is not going to be a concern. Now this is able to put out full power from 4 below zero all the way up to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. And Anker is telling me that in comparison to some of their other battery products in the market, is that they are able to do full throughput at all the way down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit, which is actually really impressive. Some of the other products may begin to reduce the amount of throughput in the battery as the temperature gets lower. And this has what they're calling thermal boosting to keep the batteries from getting excessively cold. It's really just basically some heaters that go around all of the battery packs and allow it to continue to operate efficiently without damaging the battery cells. Operating temperature is anywhere from -4 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit for this thing to be able to operate correctly. So it can actually be installed in Minnesota, where it gets super cold, and it can still be installed outdoors. Round trip on the X1 efficiency is going to be 90.2%. So when the solar energy is generated, comes down through the microinverter into the battery, and then back out of the battery to be used again, that process uses about that 9.8% loss in that process. The round trip efficiency, when you're taking from the solar all the way into the battery pack and then back out again and getting used by one of your appliances or in your home, is 89%. So very good efficiency on that, a little bit less than what the Anker is able to do. The efficiency of the solar through the microinverter, if you're going to use it directly in your home, is 97.3% efficient. So there's very little loss from the panels to the final load if that is how that energy gets used, as compared to the round trip efficiency. Now the efficiency from solar directly, if you're going to use that energy before it goes into the battery, is actually a little bit higher at 97.5%. That's a little bit higher than the Anker. Now Anker does advertise this as a UPS, and with that they have a stated number of 20 milliseconds from when you lose grid power to when this will switch over and power the loads in your home. So that's what they've got this at. Hopefully it's even a little bit faster than that, but 20 milliseconds is what they're advertising. The Powerwall 3 is not advertised as a UPS. On the website it says that it will switch over in a fraction of a second, but they don't have a specific millisecond number that they are advertising. Now, one of the things that I love about the Anker SOLIX X1 is the fact that it has a dedicated generator input. And the fact that it has that is going to give us the ability to have an existing gas generator hooked up here, so that if we have a cloudy day, we don't have any solar generation, or maybe you just bought the X1 as a backup system, you could have the power go out, this starts draining down a bunch, you can take out your generator or hook it up however you normally do, and have your X1 charged back up again, and then shut that generator off and just continue to operate off of battery power. So the fact that it's got that, I think, is a huge plus for the X1. This is the box that's going to allow everything to connect to the different sources. Our PV, so photovoltaic, that's our solar coming in, generator. This is energy, which is going to be going to our power module 1 and power module 2. So down here, backup panel, non-backup panel, and the grid, and then all of our neutrals are going to tie together right there. So there's no way to connect a gas generator to the Powerwall 3. Now for many of you, it probably doesn't matter at all, but definitely comment down below if you're in my camp where I would much prefer to have the ability to connect a gas generator. This is the gateway that's required for connecting your Powerwall 3 to the rest of your house electrical system, unless you use the adapter that goes directly into the meter. This basically allows full disconnection from the grid in the case of a power outage, the same way that this device right here would do that. So it'd come from the meter into this, and then out of this into the rest of your system. So what do you guys think? Do you like the X1 more than the Powerwall 3 based on the features, or do you prefer the Powerwall 3? Hopefully I gave you guys some good information that is just going to help you understand the differences between these two products. Comment down below, let me know what you think about both of them, and I'd really love to hang out with you guys down there. As promised, here's a few things I like about the X1 and the Powerwall, as well as a few summary thoughts. On the X1 side, I really like the fact that we have a dedicated generator input, and I should mention that with the Powerwall 3, you still can use a whole home generator. It would just be downstream of the Powerwall 3, and when the battery fully dies, your whole home generator will pick up the load from your house, but it won't be able to recharge the Powerwall 3 like the X1 can with the dedicated generator input. The second thing that I like is that the X1 can actually be used fully off-grid. However, they said that you need the grid in order to commission it initially, but they're working on a software update to fix that, and that's the one thing with the Anker stuff that they really could do a better job with, is having better software development. And even like a US software development team, I feel like would be a total game changer in speeding up the process of feedback to feature in the software. And then the third thing that I really like is that it's a little bit more flexible in the way that you can deploy it incrementally with your 5 kilowatt hour battery packs and the microinverters that allow you to kind of position panels however you want. Now on the Powerwall side of things, by far the best thing about it compared to the X1 is that it has a larger inverter. That 10.5 kilowatt inverter that's built in is obviously way larger than the 6 kilowatt inverter that is in the X1. So you actually have to purchase 2 X1 units in order to get that 12 kilowatts to surpass the 10.5 that just one single Powerwall has. I also like that you have the track record of Tesla behind the Powerwall 3, and they've just done a really good job of packing a lot of value into that single unit. The third thing I like about the Powerwall 3 is that it's just a little bit simpler. You don't have separate microinverters. You can get by with just that 1 meter socket adapter if your utility allows it. And so it's just less components, and less components just makes it easier to install, and it is maybe a few less things to go wrong. We'll talk to you guys in the next one.